Yeah, just make sure your microphone's not muted.
Okay. Let's call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Genslinger. Here. Jurza.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
Osterloo.
Here.
Penny.
Here.
Schmidt.
Here.
Sonny.
Here.
Dosher. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. The declaration of conflict. I will mention that I do know Mr. Taylor, who we were going to talk about earlier, but I do not believe I have any conflicts there. Hearing no others, let's move on to the agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the agenda be approved as presented. Is there a discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All right, Mark?
Jurza.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Osterloo.
Yes.
Penny.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Sonny.
Yes.
Genslinger.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion carries. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 8th of August were presented in the packet. Anybody see any additions or corrections that are needed?
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded that the minutes be approved as presented. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Mark, your turn.
Osterloo.
Yes.
Penny.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Sonny.
Yes.
Genslinger.
Yes.
Jurza.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, the next meeting should be scheduled for the 12th of September. Do I hear a motion for the blanket?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded that the blanket be approved as the 12th of September. Discussion on the motion.
We do have quite a few applications ready. That will be maybe a longer than normal meeting for you guys.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, I hear no other comments, so it's your turn, Mark.
Penny.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Sonny.
Yes.
Genslinger.
Yes.
Jurza.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes?
Osterloo.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, the next item on the agenda is a plan approval. Jared Glassman at 25414 407th Avenue intends to build a storage shed located at that address. The property is zoned highway business. Mark, talk to us a minute, please.
Mr. Klossman came in to request a building permit for his property out there. You can see he's got a house and a shed out there already on that property. There's also a shed to the north, quite a few hundred feet away. This whole area is zoned highway business, so by our ordinance, it has to come through here before he can get a building permit to put a storage shed for his own personal use on his property. He's here if you have any questions for him at all.
Anybody got any questions? Mr. Clausman, do you have any to add?
No.
Nope. All right, do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded that the building, that the, let's see, what are we doing? We're approving a variance, are we not?
Approving a plan.
We're approving a plan, all right, yeah, that's right, because it's highway business. Discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Mark, it's your turn again.
Schmidt.
Yep.
Sonny.
Yes.
Genslinger.
Yes.
Jurza.
Yes.
Larson.
Yep.
Osterloo.
Yes.
Penny.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, next item on the agenda is variance requested by Troyer Homeworks on behalf of James and Margaret Taylor at 723 West 4th Avenue. Troyer Home, I can't pronounce
Troyer.
that. How do you pronounce it, Mark?
Troyer.
Troyer, thank you. Homeworks on behalf of James and Margaret Taylor have applied for a variance for a minimum side yard setback of 0 versus 20 feet to construct a 3-season room on an existing deck located at 723 West 4th Avenue, legally described as Lot 6, and the west half of Lot 5, Block 100, Lawler, 2nd Edition, City of Mitchell, Davis County, South Dakota. The said real property is zoned single-family residence. I drove by there earlier today, and it looks to me like there was an addition on that house at one time that sat over that, probably a coal bin.
Actually, that's what it is. It's a coal bin. And I've got a survey, which I couldn't find, when we bought the place in '97. The coal bin does not encroach, but it's right there on the right-of-way. Then when we bought the place, there was about an 8-foot tall cedar fence that encroached about 3 feet, maybe 4 feet into the right-of-way. I got tired of that after a year because all it did was catch leaves and snow. So I took the fence out. So then we don't have an encroachment. But the deck that's been there for the 23 years or whatever it is we've lived there is right on the right-of-way line. Then what we propose to do is build a screen porch, 3-season room, screen porch, I don't know, whatever you
You're
want to call
probably
it.
on the foundation or on the coal bin too, aren't you?
Right, yep.
Anybody got any questions for Mr. Taylor?
I will say we had 5 responses. None of them were opposed. All were in favor of it. I've talked with Mr. Taylor about it for making it look as close to the house as possible, since it's a historical, nice-looking house there, and I believe he'll do that.
As I've been looking at it, and like I said before, I know Mr. Taylor, and that was my first thought. I'll bet he's going to make that look as close to that house as it exists. Bring it back to, that's a pretty house.
Yeah, it's a nice place. We like it, and we'll do it right. I was going to say something else. What the heck was it? Oh, the other thing to keep in mind, I guess I already covered that. We took the fence out, so if there are any concerns about the line of sight from Montana onto 4th, this is a long ways back, and frankly, it's going to, the screen porch isn't going to be as big as the deck. It's actually going to cover about 2/3 of the deck, so it'll even be shorter than the deck and significantly shorter than that fence I took out 20 years ago.
Any questions for Mr. Taylor?
Plus, it's a one-way, so it's not really going to be blocked.
4th is a one-way, right?
Yeah, man, that was an issue however many years ago that was. I don't see that changing, so.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the variance be approved. Is there further discussion on the motion? Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Thank
Mark,
you.
Your turn.
Sonny? Yes. Genslinger?
Yes.
Jerza?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Osterloo?
Yes.
Penny?
Yes.
Schmitz?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Let's go on to item number 9. Hearing and recommendation on ordinance number 2022-14. Changing zoning from high-density residential district R4 to a planned development unit to be named Sharpstone District, as requested by Sharpstone Deuce LLC. Sharpstone Deuce LLC is requesting to rezone the following: Lot 11 of Sharpstone subdivision, a subdivision of the west one half, the south half of the southwest quarter of the northwest quarter of Section 9, T103 North, Range 60 West of the 5th parallel meridian, City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota, from high-density residential district to a planned development unit to be named Sharpstone District.
I'll give a brief overview of it right away to start it. The applicant came in. He'd like to build houses on these lots. Neighbors were notified. It was published in the paper. I believe it was, we received 8 responses in favor, 2 opposed. The 2 opposed were asking questions about the development. Main one's probably drainage in that area. That'll be approved or disapproved at the time when the plan approval would come in front of you if this were to continue through. Master plan has to be approved by the City of Mitchell for this area from this board. So we wanted to build on this location. Looking at his initial layout, we recommended they do a PUD instead of requesting variances for the individual lots. They're looking to put 13 lots out there. The PUD follows R4, which is what surrounds the whole thing, except it is more restrictive than what R4 is for the permitted and conditional uses. You saw under the permitted, it's only single family, two-family dwellings. Home occupation was some of the conditional uses, community garden, childcare, those are the only ones. They intend to have it be a one-way street going from North Omen, turning off North Omen, driving north and exiting on Sharpstone. We don't have very many of these like this in the community. It's going to be a little narrower street than normal. Sidewalks will be on abutting the street. And so that from there, from the back of the curb is 15 feet to the setback. The 15-foot setback for front yard is different than R4, and so is the lot width. Lot width in R4 is 60 feet instead of, we went down to 50 because there were some of them on some curves that we do have a formula for on radiuses what it comes down to, but there are a couple that are about 54, 56. We just put it at 50 feet to encompass all of them so they didn't have to keep coming in for a variance for all of them. They intend to do single family or two-family dwellings there. Most of them will be single family, about 1,000 square feet per building with a double garage on it. You can see the driveways with them all facing to the south there, except for the bottom two, and vehicles will be able to pull in there. Since the sidewalk will be abutting the street, we feel there should be enough room so that there's no vehicles overhanging on the sidewalk itself, and that's a big concern that we have for this area. Road then in the future will be privately owned, or HOA will take care of it and maintain it. It will not be the city street. They'll keep that. You can answer any questions you have for me, or the applicants here if you have any questions for him as well.
All right, Mr. Applicant, do you care to add any more?
Will we be responsible for any of the infrastructure
Yep.
previous?
My name is Caleb Kerner, and I'm a member of the Sharpstone Deuce LLC. Like Mr. Jennings said, I mean, he pretty much said it all. There's not really much to add. Obviously, we would be responsible for making the street and putting in the city, or the water and the sewer. And then I believe, yeah, we are working on a drainage plan, and as soon as we get that approved, I guess we're just kind of following the steps of what you guys have, so.
Okay. Now, I wondered, back when the Sharpstone Drive was put in back there and the other houses with the cul-de-sac off to the, let's see, it'd be the southeast of the beginning of where your property is. I wondered how that was going to be developed in the future, and this looks like, to me, a pretty decent plan.
Yeah, I mean, our goal is to build 13 homes, one on each lot, like you said, single-family home. We think they'd be good homes for somebody maybe who is looking to downsize and move into something that's a little easier to take care of, and it'd be just a nice little project, I think, for that area.
Anybody have any questions of this gentleman?
What price range are you talking?
I would assume we're going to try to stay around that $320,000 per unit.
Anybody else got any questions or
We have a
comments?
basement.
Can
No.
people
If
please
you
come
do,
up to the...
you need to come to the podium.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So, anybody else got questions or statements, please? Step forward.
How big are the homes per square foot?
Can you come up to the microphone, please?
Yeah, how many square foot are the houses?
Okay, what's your name?
Rick Agnich,
How do you spell your last name, Rick?
Agnitsch. How many square foot are the houses?
Well, as he mentioned earlier, they are 1,000 square feet, roughly, 1,000 to 1,100.
And then also the width of the lots are only 50 feet?
I believe that is correct.
No, the frontages will be wider than 50 feet, a little bit
Oh,
wider
okay.
than 50 feet.
So there, yeah, but most of them, when you look at the blueprint that I think was mailed out to everyone, most of them are 54 to 56. They're all different sizes.
And the drainage, as far as drainage, are we going to have any problems?
Well, I mean, we're going to get a drainage plan, and then it's going to be approved by the city, and I would assume. I mean, it's engineered by an engineer, so I would assume the engineer would take responsibility for any engineering. I don't know.
And are we going to be charged for any of the infrastructure?
No.
Okay.
Is it an HOA?
HOA, I believe it will be, yeah, when we get done, it'll be an HOA.
So-
Because of the size of the street, everybody that lives here will have to take care of that street.
So we have seen preliminary for drainage for this area. You can see there's a ditch on the rotated, so everybody knows which way north is. So north is up. Drainage along the backside of this that comes to an outlet that would go under Omen. And then there's a ponding up here in the corner as well, that there's also an outlet right there. It's just preliminary right now. It's not plan approval for that at all right now. This is just the PUD for setting the setbacks and the restrictions for that area.
Any questions from our committee for these folks?
Hi,
Yes,
I'm-
name please.
Penny Virchow.
Sorry, what was that?
Virchow? Virchow.
Thank you.
And I guess this process is somewhat new to me. I've never done this before, so I have a lot of questions.
Okay,
So bear with me and help me out, and I hope my neighbors can help out with questions that they may have.
Oh, my God.
there you go.
I guess a couple questions. Speaking of the drainage, and I've heard from some folks, including myself, is that we all have basements. And I have heard in the community and in other housing areas where there was some construction of houses, and there ended up being drainage problems with water coming back into basements or even sewer backup. I guess that's a concern. With these folks not having basements, we all have basements, what's that going to do for us? Secondly, we had our sump pumps drain buried about, I think, 2016. And I'm wondering if there is a drainage plan, how will our drainage be incorporated in that plan, and would there be any cost to us if that has to be redone at all?
Well, I think I can answer one of the things. Right now, your sump pumps should be pumping out to the street. And if they're not, that should happen, because most sump pumps in the city of Mitchell are required to be drained to the street. So you use the surface drainage that's already in the street process. So if you're draining to a backyard, you got a problem.
Yeah. No, we've got it buried, so it is drained appropriately.
Okay? So these folks don't have a completed drainage plan, as Mark said just a few minutes ago, but they're working on it. And before a building permit will be approved for that project, the drainage plan will be approved.
Okay.
And it should not affect you. It should drain everything off of their property someplace else, where it needs to go.
Okay. Well, and like I said, I'm new to this process, and I do ask the questions because there is a concern. Looking at the square footage and the lot size, did I read that correctly on each side? Is it 3 feet on each side?
Yep, 3-foot side yard setback.
Okay,
That's what R4 is currently right now.
okay. And so does that mean, like, from this house to that line, it's 3 feet?
From the overhang to the property line is 3 feet.
Okay,
yes.
and then from this one, so in essence, we could have 2 houses 6 feet across?
Yep, from overhang to overhang.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I think of COVID, and our COVID guidelines are 6 feet across. I'm thinking in this area, how tight that will be, and how,
You realize everything out there is all duplexes and fourplexes. at a 0-foot setback.
Well, and I understand that, but what I understand too, because I do live in one of them.
Uh-huh.
And I do live, and I bought it that way, okay? But I realize between buildings, there's quite a distance between buildings, and they're not two houses that are 6 feet apart.
Yeah, that's the way our current code
Yeah.
says. They meet everything that's in
Okay.
every code currently.
Okay.
There's 3 foot setback from the
Okay.
property.
So I understand that, but what I'm saying, I don't like it. Because to me, that in this area, it just seems very congested. So,
It should have been here when the ordinance was passed many years ago and said, I don't like it.
I agree. I'm just making a comment,
2012,
you know.
it was 5 foot before that. That I don't know.
It depends on the zoning way back when, too,
Yes.
so.
What is trailer parks?
I don't know, we don't have any, other than the existing trailer parks, which would have been put in prior to.
In the early 60s.
Trailer parks are regulated by HUD. We don't have any regulations over those.
You know, and so when I look at this map and I see this amount of houses in this area, that it reminds me somewhat of a house park, you know, rather than a housing area that's going to look nice. So I hope it looks nice, because I look out my window every day and we'll be seeing it. A question about the street, and I understand the HOA will be taking care of that. And maybe this will be too much to ask right now, but of how they will be getting rid of snow, because if they'll be going into Sharpstone or like snow
They
removal.
will have to dispose of it in an appropriate manner, and it won't be put it back on city property, so.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Will the walking path stay the way that it is?
Yeah, he's not doing anything with the land that's not his.
Okay.
Other questions?
From the lot line from the back, how much distance from the lot line that we have to what they have, how much will that be?
It'll be a minimum of 25 feet.
Yep, 25, which is what your existing R4 rear yard setback is.
Okay. And the cost of these will be $320,000 roughly, is that? So, you know, I'm just looking at, it's not going to be a low-income type housing or that. Do you foresee any issues with our taxes going up in our area, or the issue of?
That's something we can't tell you, have no idea, it depends on what the county does with the assessed value and so on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's beyond our control.
Neighbors, any other comments, thoughts? Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have a question, go ahead, please. It's over the internet, so people know.
Yeah, and one of our commissioners is listening online, so he has to be able to hear the comment.
Donna Juris. Would these be considered patio homes, basically? I mean, they're built on a slab, and they're going to be around 1,000 square feet.
Yep.
Okay, is there any way they could just revamp this slightly, take out one house, one lot each place, make it a little wider between the houses, and it would be, we'd love a development there. I don't want you guys to get that wrong at all. But I think that is too close. I have a son that just retired to Sioux Falls that lives in an area like this with this type of home, and their houses are a little larger. And anyway, but there's more room between the houses, and I just think it might cheapen the area to compact it so much. I just think there needs to be a little more room between the houses. And if the houses are 1,000 square feet, as long as the sidewalk and it's a one-way street, they mention a garden and stuff, and I don't see where that is.
That would be a permitted or conditional use for that
So,
area. So
Anyway,
that's
we would,
conditional use.
most of us would like a little more room between the houses. And also, as we've all mentioned, the drainage problem is our biggest concern. And they will be one story, I take it?
That's what we were told was going to be the plan.
Okay, thank you.
On the screen is, over in Sioux Falls, the same concept of what this is.
Looks to me like it's got a lot bigger backyard setback than those, but
These lots are right around the 60 foot as well, is what this is.
The front
The front,
footage.
yep, and they all angle, I mean, these ones, their lots angle right between them, just like the ones that are proposed here.
But you're saying there's 60 foot over there, you're saying 50 here.
50 would be the minimum that these could be for here. Most of them are 54 to 57 feet. Yes, the minimum is 50 foot. Most of them will be 54 to 57. If you look on the plan that they provided for this, no, 41 and 20 is 61. That one's 57. This one's 58. With the radius, that's 63. That's 85. 37 and 25, that gets you to 50, 62. I mean, that's what those are. In the backside of it, some of them are at 58, 58. A lot of them are at 58. So we go by front yard for the width of it. Now, a lot of people see the 58 in back and think that's what the front width is, but that's not. They're different. So that's why we went to 50, just to encompass all of them, just so that way, if there was one that was at 54 with the radius instead of 57, we didn't put it at 55, and now that one needs to have a variance for it.
yes, ma'am.
I'm Lois Paulson. I just want to make a comment. We so appreciate the fact that you are mowing and keeping that looking. I mean, for years, it's been a used car lot, and it looks great, just like it is.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments? Commission, do you have any questions on what is going on here?
Well, this is just a recommendation to change the zoning is all. And that's no big deal. It's just the later part is where my most concern is going to be because, but otherwise, as far as just changing the zoning, I'd have no problem with it. So I'll make the recommendation to approve it.
We have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve. Discussion on the motion.
I'll just make one comment that if we said no today, Sharpsville could come in with a 100-unit apartment building in your backyard. That would be permitted conditional use. They could do that. And it's a 3-foot setback right now, so there's really no difference here. He's actually restricting his use on this site.
And he's trying to make as many affordable homes, or as many homes possible on a given piece of property. And I wondered about that many years ago when Sharpstone was built the way it was. How that was ever going to happen, but this looks pretty good to me. All right, any other comments? Hearing none. Mark, your turn.
Genslinger,
Yes.
Jerza,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Osterloo,
Yes.
Penny,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Sonny.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda. Is there Any other business to come before this body at this time? Seeing none, it's time for public input. If you need to address the City Planning Commission on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium, state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken. As we see no one coming to the podium, we are adjourned.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, guys. You bet.
Take care.